everyone. My name is Dimple Grace Laros from BSBA Marketing Management. So now I'm going to discuss the stages of moral development. So the level 3 of moral development is the post-conventional or principled level. At the post-conventional level, the individual moves beyond the perspective of his or her own society. Morality is defined in terms of abstract principles and values that apply to all situations and societies. The individual attempts to take the perspective of all individual. So, there is a level 3 sa moral development, which is the post-conventional level. So, it signifies a shift of simply from societal norms to a more principled approach morality. So, instead of simply following rules or seeking approval, ang mga tao or ang mga individual ani nga stage is ilang ginadefine ang morality as a universal ethical principles nga i-apply siya sa everyone, regardless kung unsa ang imuhang societal expectations. And also, they consider the perspective of all individuals nga involved and then base their decisions on abstract concept like justice, fairness, and individual rights. They move beyond simply obeying rules to actively upholding what they believe to be fundamentally right. Next is the stage 5, the social contract orientation. Individual rights determine behavior. The individual view law and rules as flexible tools for improving human purposes. Thus, given the right situation, there are exceptions to rules. When law are not consistent with individual right and the interest of the majority, it does not bring about good for people and alternatives should be considered. So, there is stage 5 of moral development, which is the social contract orientations. It is described as stage kung asa ang individual is gina-recognize nila ang law and rules as a important tools para sa pag-improve sa society. And they also understand that these law are not perfect and can have exceptions. So ang mga tao or the people at this stage believe that law should serve the greater good and protect individual rights. And that law should flexible enough to adapt to changing circumstances and different situations. If a law does not align with these principles or makakos siya sa pag-harm sa mga tao, is they might question its validity. So the focus is on balancing individual need with the needs of society as a whole, creating a kind of social contract. Next is the stage 6, the universal ethical principle orientations. According to Kohlberg, this is the highest stage of functioning. However, he claimed that some individual will never reach this level. At this stage, the appropriate action is determined by one's self-chosen ethical principles of conscience. These principles are abstract and universal in application. This type of reasoning involves taking the perspective of every person or group that could potentially be affected by the decision. So there is a stage 6 sa theory ni Kohlberg sa moral development is ginadefine niya ni is the highest level. So it's characterized by adherence to self-chosen ethical principles that are consistent, universally valid, regardless kung unsa ang law or societal opinions. So, ang mga tao or ang mga individual aning nga stage is naga-base sa ilahang moral decisions sa abstract concept of justice, fairness, and human rights. Their reasoning involves considering the perspective of every person nga affected ana nga decision, striving for outcomes that are consistent with this universal ethical principle, even if means going against the law or facing personal consequences. This stage represents a fully developed conscience guided by self-selected moral principle. Next is the arguments against Kohlberg theory. How does this theory apply to males and females? Kohlberg felt that more males than females move past stage 4 in their moral development. He went on to note that women seem to be deficient in their moral reasoning abilities. These ideas were not well received by Carol Galligan, a research assistant of Kohlberg, who consequently developed her own ideas of moral development. In her groundbreaking book, In a Different Voice Psychological Theory and Women's Development, Gilligan criticized her former mentor's theory because it was based only on upper class white men and boys. She argued that women are not deficient in their moral reasoning. She proposed that males and females reason differently. Girls and women focus more on staying connected and the importance of interpersonal relationships. Moral development plays an important role in our social interactions. Understanding how and why individual makes decisions regarding moral dilemmas can be very useful in many settings. Kohlberg theory of moral development provides a framework in which to investigate and begin to comprehend how moral reasoning develops within individuals. So, Kohlberg theory of moral development is gikritisized siya ni Carol Galligan because it was mainly based lang sa observations sa mga men and boys. So, si Galligan, gi-argue niya nga ang mga women's moral reasoning is different daw. Naga-focus daw ang mga women more on sa relationship and caring, not just abstract rules like Kohlberg theory suggests. So, si Gilligan, gipointed out niya that Kohlberg theory did not consider the different way men and women think about morality. And that's all. Thank you everyone and God bless.